You are listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs, so sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Good evening, friends. It is once again time for This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. I'm Hobbs. He's Ben. You are in Clown World. Boy, there's a whole lot going on in the news this week. How has everybody been?
Well, yeah, I want to talk about all the stuff going on. I mean, sometimes we do our little pre-show and we have like, shit, we're going to stretch this out. This time we're like, all right, well, we're out of stuff. We don't have enough time now.
Yes. It's one of those rare occasions where there's just been so much that's of note to talk about that we probably won't get nearly into everything. Well, we never get into everything that goes on in any given week because we run a tight ship here. And by tight ship, I mean that we just fucking wing it after a week of
Toy.
Yes. That's exactly the amount of preparation that we do. 0. No, but I mean, this week was kind of crazy. Where do you want to start it off with first?
You know what? I had something popped up. This friend of the show, Michael Cargill. Did you see his latest clip?
No, I haven't.
This will be a quick one. I just want to show it because he's a friend of the show. Let me throw it up here. So to set this up, I mean, for people who don't know who Michael Cargill is, big gun rights advocate, solid dude. I hope y'all can see this right here. I'm going to start it over. This is him confronting a homeless person, which we're going to get into later. This is how they should be treated. That's Michael Cargill in the red there.
This guy saw me get out of my vehicle. I turned back, I looked at him. Once I looked at him, he didn't like the way I was looking at him. So he came up to me and said he was gonna flatten my tires with this knife he had, a 7-inch bowie knife. And I'm like, no, you're not flattening my tires. So then he said, well, you know what? I'm gonna stab you. And so I was like, well, that's not happening either. And apparently something had happened inside the restaurant, and so I decided to, stop this guy immediately.
To stop that guy immediately, and that's where he was. I just wanted to throw that up because it popped up on YouTube, and he's been on the show. Balls on that dude.
Yeah, so yeah, Michael Cargill is one of the guys who got the bump stock ban overturned in the Supreme Court. He's a big-time Second Amendment advocate. He lives in Texas. You could see that he was obviously armed at the time. He had a gun on his hip, and the fact that he went hand to hand to subdue this guy, even though the guy was armed with a knife, shows restraint and conflict de-escalation. So kudos all around to Mr. Cargill for doing the right thing there.
And maybe we could use that to pop in. I think it's a pretty big story because we've talked about it on the show quite a bit about what the proper thing is for mental health.
Yeah.
You mind if I play just the first part? I might play the first part of Carl Benjamin's take on it here so people can kind of see. Surely they've heard of it, but so they can see what happened. He gets into it a little bit. He calls it one of the worst things he's ever seen. If you haven't seen the actual footage of it, I wouldn't watch it either. He says multiple times not to watch it. So let me throw it up here. So you can see, this is seconds before disaster. Yeah. This guy, he's got a 7-inch knife in his hand, and he plunges it into this girl's throat like 3 times. But let me just play it here. He's got a pretty good take on it.
The worst things that I've ever seen in my life. And it is just so out there. It's the sort of thing that you would just never would think would happen. And it's a level of savagery that is just... It borders on the incomprehensible. Now, of course, I can't show you the video, but the video is widely available on Twitter. I mean, I saw it earlier today, just scrolling through, and it's this. And so I will describe what happens, but it like I said, there is something genuinely wrong with a society that treats its criminals and mentally ill people in the way that modern Western society...
Yeah, I'm going to stop it there because that's kind of where we've we've talked about. What do you do with these people?
Right. So, there was some speculation in the beginning that this was a racially motivated attack. Upon more evidence coming out, it seems like this guy.
Oh, sorry. They're not hearing that. It's just you, Hobbs. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was hearing things in the background, everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, so upon more evidence coming out, it turns out that this guy had been in and out of police custody and mental institutions, such as they are. He's suffering from some kind of mental disorder, and even his own mother said that he should not have been out and about in the public. So yeah, if you watch that whole video, you can go on the CAD Daily channel
Arrested
and watch
13
it.
times.
Yeah.
I mean, here I bookmarked a couple spots in the video. There's another good spot here. I'll throw it up here. And arrested 13 times, keeps getting let out because they decide he's not competent enough to stand trial.
Yeah. If you're not competent enough to stand trial, you're not competent enough to be out in the general public.
So I won't have him take up full screen. I'll just play it.
He may well have hated white people, but I think it's fair to say that he was also absolutely mental, some sort of absent schizo, right? So you've got a violent schizo on the streets, and everyone knows it. Now, there is the Bukele option, which is lock up violent schizos for the protection of everyone else. Mm-hmm. You'd be like, oh, but what about the human rights? And Bukele's got a good answer to that. What about the human rights of people who don't want to get stabbed? The human rights of the people who are not doing anything wrong, who are not going around terrorizing society. Isn't that more important than the human rights of the people who are going to terrorize them?
And he gets to a point
so
too that
I find myself in full agreement with this, because when you see just the amount of times, again, 14 times he's been let out of custody, and you look at his face and you realize this is not a well man. This guy is a maniac. He is obviously someone who doesn't feel remorse. He is someone who doesn't care about the people around him. There's a reason that he's like a homeless crack addict or whatever. Like, this guy can't function in a free and modern society. This is not the way that he is built for whatever reason. And again, I'm not trying to pass judgment. This is just obviously the case. And you could take the more sort of liberal perspective and say, okay, he's a man who's been failed.
So yeah, he gets into also that these type of issues are more prevalent. The schizo, the per capita thing among black people.
Right. And so to kind of go back to where he was talking on the beginning there about the argument of human rights, this is something that the Western world in particular and the more like libertarian side of people are the worst at. And that is, we tend to think when someone says a human rights violation, we tend to think that that is exclusively something that the state does to the individual. If I kill somebody, have I not infringed on their human right to life? If I steal from somebody, have I not infringed on their human right to property? If I rape somebody, have I not infringed on their human right to bodily autonomy and freedom of association? It's like individuals can infringe on the human rights of another individual. And yet, for some reason, in the sort of greater consciousness of the Western world, we tend to think that human rights violation is just something that governments do to people, when it can be a person-to-person endeavor as well. And Bukele, I think, is with how he explained things, what Carl Benjamin was saying there, he called it the Bukele option, because when he started locking up criminals en masse, when he started rounding people up that had like MS-13 face tattoos and used that as the indictment to put these people away, there was a lot of outcry in the greater Western civilized world about these guys' human rights. And he gave a speech in which he laid out that core argument perfectly, where he's like, there is a hierarchy to human rights. Someone's right to life is of higher importance than somebody else's right to freedom of movement. And when you have people who And let's face it, if you have an MS-13 gang tattoo in an MS-13 run or heavily infested country or territory, you are in MS-13, because the real guys in MS-13 will not suffer an imposter. They will kill you if you try to fake the funk. So when he started rounding these guys up, he's like, these guys are in MS-13. Killing somebody is part of their initiation. They are murderers, and they are going to go away because they have violated the human rights of the innocent people around them. The functioning members of society have had their human rights, whether it be to life, property, bodily autonomy, or any of the other human rights that are far and away above the human rights of somebody else's freedom of movement. They have, and so that was the argument that kind of dawned in my head was, holy shit, people can impugn on other people's human rights.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. Along with that, there's a right to not be put in an insane asylum if you're not insane. These people also have a right to not get stabbed in their daily lives. And she was a Ukrainian immigrant too. Did you see that part?
Yeah, she was a refugee, and like a legitimate refugee, not a refugee, but someone who was fleeing a war.
It's kind of odd that she was an immigrant and she was working and was not like, there was something about her different than most immigrants.
Can't put my finger on it.
Can't put my finger on it, but there's something different about her than most immigrants, and she was working her wagey slave job riding public transit and stabbed in the neck. And
I saw probably one of the most disgusting screenshots that I've ever seen a few hours ago. I didn't get it or share it because I wasn't sure what the context was, but it was a screenshot of that scene where he's like got his arm back, like right before he goes to stab her.
Way back. He must have.
Yeah, he wound up for it. But there was a comment underneath of it, and somebody said something like, "This is disgusting. He should be locked up for the rest of his life." And then underneath of that, somebody said, "No, she was probably texting something racist, and he saw it over her shoulder and decided to act on it."
I don't think she even noticed that dude was there. If you watch her, she's got the whole time her head was down. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many of our listeners live in inner cities or large metropolitan areas. Keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know what's going to happen. There's too many crazy types walking around. But to circle back, and he made the comment in that video that it's more prevalent among black populations. And I've brought it up before too, and I don't know if I'm just found this because I'm a random idiot or what, but I'm going to throw something up here. A lot of screen shares this show, I guess, so we'll have to deal with This I'm going to solo it here. So let me blow it up a little. So this line here shows the 37th parallel, okay?
Yep.
And that is where the big brains at Harvard figured out, and this was taken of 20,000 people living above that line experienced vitamin D deficiency, okay? And that's I'm going to assume they had a wide or representative spectrum. So that includes white, black, Mexican, whatever. So you can imagine this might be skewed a little bit. And one of the things that vitamin D deficiency causes, guess what it might be? Schizophrenia. Especially during childhood. And if you think about where a lot of these black populations grow up, who their parent is, you think they're probably getting a diet rich in vitamin D?
Well, not only that, but the reason that black people have dark skin, the reason they have so much melanin in their skin is because they evolved in equatorial regions where the sun is the brightest and is out the longest during the year. So they have the melanin is a natural sunblock. So even if they were getting a vitamin D rich diet, they would still probably need to supplement just because the little bit of sun that they're getting in a place like New York City, where there is a large black population, is probably not going to be sufficient to get them the vitamin D that they need. Add on to that black populations in this country typically tend to congregate in urban areas, and you've got a lot of time spent indoors or in places where the sun isn't going to reach you because the tall buildings are all around you. That's going to compound the issue even further.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really no wonder that there's an outsourcing of...
And I'm wondering if this is becoming more prevalent because the modern diet is such garbage that, you know, maybe it was offset. I mean, well, if you think about it, black populations have only been living above that latitude since probably the 1910s, when they all went north to work in the factories. You know, and back then people ate a lot more raw meat. I mean, red meat, organ meat, stuff like that. You know, and a lot of the black diet is those weird chunks of meat that nobody wanted, and they make it into chitlins, you know.
Soul food.
But their diet is now whatever they can get at the corner store, or their whack-ass single mom gets with their SNAP benefit. And I think we've built a time bomb.
Well, TikTok.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming due.
Speaking of other populations with mental health problems caused by the environment, there was a possible idea floated by our wonderful Department of Justice to ban transgender people from owning firearms.
You're welcome, Trump administration. We brought it up here first.
All kidding aside, though, you know, as uncomfortable as a delusional person taking a 10x dose of synthetic cross-sex hormones with a gun makes me, I'd have to say that, like we said last week, that this is a slippery slope, because it's only a matter of time before somebody says that, oh, you think that the state taking a third of your paycheck, every paycheck, to pay for dumb shit is legalized theft? Oh, well, that's a mental illness, because clearly the government has your best interest in mind. Yeah, so can't be using things like subjective diagnoses or even objective diagnoses. You kind of have to present yourself as a threat to others.
Yeah, I don't know what the right answer is for that. I guess we talked about it last week. You reclassify it as a mental disorder, I suppose. Because technically it is, but it's kind of fucked up how much everything is starting to link back to our shitty mental health care. And you know, another thing to think about with this mental health care is it comes down to money too.
Yeah.
At some point, we've got to decide that, you know, we talked about the rights to not get stabbed. Well, we're probably going to have to start pooling our money and have locally funded mental health hospitals.
You know, there's a lot of dumb shit that the government spends money on that, you know, it's easy to say things like, oh, Elon bought Twitter for $44 billion. He could end world hunger. And it's like, well, we spent $250 billion on a lost cause in Ukraine. We could have ended the mental health issues by putting the...
I mean, yeah, this is something that has to start now to get results in 15 years. I mean, you're going to have to train up all that staff, maybe build all the buildings.
Another big problem with it is that in a lot of cases, we don't know what right looks like as far as how to treat the mentally ill insofar as segregating them off from the population. Because one of the big downfalls of the old asylum system was just how shitty the people were treated. because I imagine that after a time, being an asylum nurse has got to be one of the most grating and thankless jobs on the planet, to where it gets to the point where it's like, okay, I'm just going to beat one of these nutcases' asses just because I'm about to snap. And, you know, it would take patience, and it would almost take like a rotating volunteer type of staffing, I would think, so that you're not on the job for so long that you end up losing your humanity or seeing them as less than human themselves.
Well, they've got to figure something out, because I mean, crazy people have been with humans forever, and the way they used to fix it was they just kind of disappear. I mean, we're going to start getting to that point where people get fed up, and we're going to have vigilantes just start offing crazy people on the streets, because, you know, obviously nobody's looking for these people or cares about them. So you think the cops are going to investigate it very much also? I mean, it's sad to say it, but that's what we're spiraling downwards toward, is just people offing them in the streets and not worrying about repercussions on it.
Something's going to crack
I mean,
before long.
the homicide, what I see, the completion rate on solved homicide cases is an all-time low, like 42%. So where's random schizophrenic homeless person going to rank on the let's solve it scale?
Probably not at all. If they get reported missing in the first place.
Right, yeah. Oh, homeless guy's dead. Well, police show up. Hey, looks like he's shot in the head. I didn't see it. You know? I didn't see it. Get him out of here. So that's the dark future that I think we're spiraling towards if we don't start this now. I don't know how you fix a vitamin D issue, or just encourage them to move south.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Force vitamin D supplements? I mean, they put it in all things that vitamin D supplements go in is milk. Is that like some cruel joke? Was somebody just fucking with them at that point?
We're going to put the vitamin D in the one thing that they can't drink. Yes.
I've wondered if that's just a cruel joke that somebody came up with at the time. But let's move on. What do you want to hit on next? Massie? Sassy with Massie?
We could get sassy with Massie, but we've got some comments from Mario over here in the Rumble chat. Good to see somebody actually taking us up on the fact that we are live and we are talking right now, and you can always drop comments down in the thing. We would appreciate it. Kind of drives the algorithm, and it also gives us something to talk about. But he, I don't know, they will tell it, but good old Department of War.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the name change. So Ben, what's yours? Because I've got thoughts. What's your thoughts?
Wasn't it originally the War Department?
Yes. It was the Department of War, or the War Department, up until the end of World War II.
I mean, it pretty much summarizes how it acts at this point. I'm not sure when they actually did any defense for us.
Yeah. So my thoughts on it, and you know that I always have thoughts. I think that this might be done for... There's two possibilities. There's a really shallow, stupid reason that this was done, and then there's a really deep, esoteric reason why this might have been done. The first one, the shallow one, is that Pete Hegseth seems to be like he's kind of a vet bro.
Yeah, I get that.
And he is a younger guy. He's a vet bro guy, and he probably said, War Department sounds cool. Secretary of War sounds cool. It was that before. Let's make it that again. And bibbity bobbity boop, here it is. And, okay, yeah, the War Department and being the Secretary of War, it does sound cool. I'm just gonna... Yep, that's awesome. Not gonna lie. Good for you. One of my dreams is to be the Secretary of War. The other deeper esoteric reason, I think, is it was the War Department up until the end of World War II. And then it became the Department of Defense. And if we take a look at some of the metaphysical, Kabbalistic, lesser magic, inversion, subversion approaches that a lot of the people that are in charge have done to our language, words mean things and words have power.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have an entity named the Department of War, it deals in war. And war is a very specific thing. It has to be declared. It has to be fought with armies on armies. It has to have a victory plan. It has to have a path to victory. It has to have an exit strategy. It's clearly defined. Everybody knows what war is. The Department of Defense, that's when things started getting squishy. And it's interesting that the Department of Defense came about at the same time as the era of nonstop global conflict came about as well.
Well, it made sense during the Cold War to me, a Department of Defense. I mean, you could kind of wedge it in there that, you know, we're in a defensive stance against Russia, you know, with an umbrella of protection, which we don't really need anymore.
Right. When you have your Department of Defense, everything can be justified under defense. Mm-hmm. Kind of makes me think of another certain country that uses defense argument to justify its every atrocity. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about our defense department. But yeah, it's like, we're going to coup some Latin American because he's showing a little bit too much friendliness to the Soviets and to socialism. Why are we doing that? Oh, well, it's defense. This is our sphere of influence, and we can't allow socialism to pop up in our backyard. Mm-hmm. We're going to overthrow the nation of Iraq. Why are we doing that? Well, they're harboring terrorists, and this is a national defense issue. It's, everything can be justified under the rubric of defense. Under the Department of War, not so much. You want to go to war? There are very, very strict definitions of what that implies.
Allegedly.
I
mean, they haven't used it through Congress since when?
World War II.
Yeah. Everything else has just been not a special military action, but
yeah,
an equivalent.
Very similar. But we'll have to see how things go, because right now there have been some things, let's just say, that have been going on that could just blow my whole thesis about the War Department potentially being a good thing completely out of the water. Like fentanyl smugglers getting destroyed in international waters.
I mean, on one hand, they blasted some private citizens to Kingdom Come on a yacht. On the other hand, were they narco smugglers from Venezuela on their way to get it to America and kill, hundreds of people on fentanyl overdose. They also intercepted one from China. A huge shipment of fentanyl precursors coming out of China. We brought this up either last week or the week before, how, it seems like countries are just sending their criminals here to fuck with us. Maybe that's what the war plan is for these countries that hate us. All right, we'll just send them fentanyl.
Well, that's part of the total war doctrine. Mm-hmm. That the Chinese, there's a Chinese general, I think his name is like Wang Yi or something. I might be thinking of somebody else, but he wrote a book back in the 90s where this was an aspect of it. The degradation of the culture, the deracination of the local population, economic, manufacturing. Military is the last step of China's war plan on the West and the United States in particular. But it's all leading up to it. I've seen some arguments for and some arguments against what happened to the boat. You have to be on your P's and Q's with your intelligence before you start blowing boats out of the water.
Well, that reminds me, there's another boat incident we should talk about, the North Korea one, and that came, did you hear that one that came to light, happened in 2019? Okay, so little tangent here. It recently was made public that in 2019, Trump had that meeting coming up with Kim Jong-un, and he had Navy SEAL Team 6 get deployed off a nuclear submarine to deploy a listening device near where they would be meeting to intercept all the communications. And while SEAL Team 6, while on the way to plant this device, comes across a fishing boat. The fishing boat sees them. They gun down all the men on the fishing boat, scrap the mission, and head back to the submarine.
What?
Yeah, this came out today. So how that didn't become an international incident, I don't know. But that, yeah, it's right here. Trump says he didn't know anything about it. Let me just share it. Another screen share, guys. Came out
Keeps
today.
things spicy.
Yeah, seems like that would have been a pretty big deal. Trump says he doesn't know anything about failed SEAL Team 6 mission in North Korea. That's about the matter during an Oval Office appearance. New York Times reported classified 2019 SEAL Team 6 mission in North Korea. How it came declassified, I don't know. It seems like a weird thing that U.S. team members feared they had been spotted by a North Korea boat that was approaching the area. The SEAL team opened fire, killing all aboard the boat. Upon inspection, nobody in the boat was armed. So that be interesting. Right about that time, relations with North Korea kind of soured, so it seems oddly coincidental.
Well, why would they be planting a listening device near an area that the president was going to go and meet with the if they wanted to record it, it would be easy enough to record it. Without
the SEAL Team 6 commandos were there to plant a device that let the United States intercept communications of North Korea's reclusive leader and his high-ranking generals amid the high-level nuclear talks with President Trump.
Oh. Very odd.
Yeah. Especially if Trump didn't know about it.
That seems like some very high-risk, low-reward type of operation.
We kind of talked about how towards the end of Trump's administration, it just kind of seemed like people were just doing whatever the fuck they wanted.
Yeah, it's almost like some higher up people in the administration knew that he wasn't going to get reelected that time.
Yeah. Weren't real worried. Probably John Bolton was in on it, I bet.
Mark Milley.
Yeah. But back to the other thing, so I was just saying this isn't the first time in recent memory that it looks like they're gunning down a boat full of civilians.
Right. The real interesting thing about
just Jared said, well, that doesn't stink of the CIA at all. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's definitely a Jim Clapper or James Comey type of snoop and poop operation. But anyways, like I was saying, you need to be up on your intelligence if you're going to be shooting boats out of the water. You have to be 100% sure that they are doing what you think that they're doing and smuggling drugs. But even then, like the libertarian argument is that if it wasn't for the demand for drugs in the United States, then the South American countries wouldn't be acting as supply. And to a certain degree, I agree. However, the thing that makes fentanyl so insidious is how little of it you need to kill a person. You know, the other libertarian argument is that organizations that are selling these drugs have no vested interest in people dying because that's a customer lost. And again, that is on its face a justifiable argument. But again, the thing with fentanyl is they're putting the fentanyl in lethal doses in other drugs, marijuana, cocaine, meth, other drugs in lethal amounts, because to a certain degree, the people that are smuggling it in from places like China, the goal is to kill people. Mm-hmm. And probably one of the better arguments, at least from a legal justification for what they're doing with these boats from Venezuela, is at the founding of our country, Thomas Jefferson sent the Navy to fight the Barbary pirates in the Barbary Wars. And that was very similar. You had a foreign entity that was a non-governmental entity in the Barbary pirates were predating on American citizens. And so the U.S. government took it upon themselves to send our military, the Navy, over to fight these non-governmental organizations. In the same way, you have non-governmental organizations in these Venezuelan and other South American drug cartels are predating on American citizens by putting lethal doses of fentanyl in other recreational drugs with what appears to be the express goal of just killing Americans.
Well, you brought this up before, and once again, the answer is letters of marque.
And that's exactly one of the ways that we handled it back in the Thomas, when he did send the Navy, the official military, but he also issued letters of marque and reprisal, which is privateers, private citizens, armed citizens, taking matters into their own hands.
I mean, they could even feed the... Simon, what's going on? I can't open that image. They could feed the intelligence info too to these letters of marques. Hey, we've got these boats are leaving the port with this amount of shit on it. Go blast it out of the water.
Yeah. Or capture it. Free boat.
Couple of rednecks on a fucking speedboat with 50 cals on it, just living the dream. I mean, they could even supply the weaponry for these guys. Letters of marque again. Just do it. We know they took our idea about the trans and guns. Take this.
And honestly, this does seem like something that would be right up Pete Hegseth's alley. Be like, oh, we're going to give rednecks machine guns and have them take care of the problem for us? Hell yeah.
Shit. I mean, that's a great solution. If I was in my 20s and could get letters of marque to go blast narco dealers off the coast of Venezuela, shit.
And you know how many decommissioned and mothballed PT boats there are in this?
Even better.
You get a crew of like 30 or 40 of your homies and get some decommissioned Vietnam era
fucking just covered in rare pepes all across the whole both sides.
Instead of World War I Dazzle camo, it's World War III Spazzle camo.
All down it. Yeah. Oh, the tiny hats didn't get Simon. Somebody heard us mention Simon's name. Yeah, I guess not. Or he escaped from the tunnels. One of the two. We got no gooning over here. Good job on not gooning. That's assuming the people producing and selling the fent are only in it for the money. Yeah, we mentioned. I know people have overdosed on fent while smoking weed. Yeah, that's another thing they're doing. Dude's got some shit weed. All right, well, I'll just sprinkle a little fent in it. They'll really think they're getting high. Huge problem. I see news stories around here of people overdosing on fent and in the comments you'll see one of their friends post. He thought he was just smoking weed and killed him.
Yeah, I've seen things where like a little kid will pick up what he thinks a gum wrapper or something in a park, and it'll be something that had fentanyl in it, and it'll get absorbed through their skin, and they'll either get close to dying or die.
Well, I mean, that's a solution. I think letters of marque. We'll fix it. We're fixing all of them tonight. Mental health.
Letters of marque is one solution. The other one is the fact that we have a governmental entity that is not part of our military. It's part of the Department of Justice. It is a maritime force that is almost as well armed and equipped as a formal branch of the military, because they used to be a formal branch of the Department of Defense. They are charged with the express job of guarding our coast. The Coast Guard.
Mm-hmm.
But they're over in the Med right now guarding other people's coasts.
Guarding. They're obviously not guarding fiber optic cables in the Red Sea, but...
Perfect segue into another topic that just came across my desk right before we came to side. If you guys have been on Twitter lately, notice that the slop content has been significantly reduced over the last 12 hours. That's because internet fiber optic cables connecting India and Pakistan to the internet have been cut in the Red Sea. So...
everybody's tech support's gone to shit.
Yeah.
I mean, they provide shitty service, but now they can't even answer their phones. Let's get in. We're getting short on time. Let's hit on the Massie thing real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you start with that one? Where's he at presently? He was saying he was going to read the list on the floor because he's allowed to, since it's House of Reps.
Yep. I'm going to read it into the official congressional record. He had a press conference with several Epstein victims, and in one of the most tragically unfunny, unforced errors ever, while they were doing that, Trump was still calling it a hoax. It's like, you've got the victims right here. It's obviously not a hoax. And he named the first name, which was surprisingly, a big-time GOP donor named John Paulson.
Yeah, he looks like somebody would be on the freaking Epstein list.
Yeah. So it's bipartisan between Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Anna Paulina Luna, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert, I believe, are the GOP side of things that have signed on to it. And the last I checked, Massie was only 4 signatures away from his resolution getting all the signatures that it needed to make everything official. Excuse me. Getting sick. My kids are bringing biohazards home.
Well, and people have commented, well, why don't their survivors just say something? And I can't remember if it's Massie or somebody else who commented, these people were abused by some of the most powerful people in the world. They don't want to be naming names.
Yeah, and the most famous Epstein victim, Virginia Giuffre, was hit by a bus and then committed suicide a few weeks after that. So, naming names on the Epstein list is a good way to end up dead.
Yeah.
And I don't want to draw connections because it's kind of a ghoulish thing, but it really does seem that Thomas Massie's desire to remain cordial and his give a fuck went out the window after his wife died.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's like, my kids are grown, they're out of the house, my wife is dead.
I'm going to guess all those kids knew how to shoot a firearm.
Have you seen his Christmas cards?
They all had trigger discipline.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is that new wave of this. These are the post-Epstein politicians. We're getting into that new wave that Mossad doesn't have any control over, or through Epstein, who's never been exposed by Epstein, and it's going to be wild times coming up.
Yeah. And I think that coming up in the future, distancing yourself from Israel, its influence, AIPAC, is going to be an election winner.
Oh, Israel's cooked among Gen Z.
Yeah.
There's an Instagram reel. This white dude, he's kind of famous on Instagram for being just outwardly racist and doesn't care. And there was somebody asking him, what do you think about the voting age being 18? And he said, they need to lower it.
I have seen that reel. That's
Israel's cooked with Gen Z. There's no way. Millennials are going to be in there for a while, but they're going to be at odds with Gen Z. Gen Z has no love for Israel whatsoever. They don't understand why we have all this support for them. They're the great hope right now.
And they're polarized too. You've either got insufferable shit libs or goose stepping high and tight enjoyers.
Even the worst Gen Z shit lib isn't anywhere near a millennial shit lib. The Gen Z is the one that came up with Reddit-like behavior, and I love that's how they frame millennials, and it's great. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. This next wave of politicians moving in. I want to see how this Massie thing shakes out. If he gets enough signatures, I don't see why he wouldn't. We'll find out if Trump really is an FBI informant. What was that movie with Matt Damon and freaking Leonardo DiCaprio? The Departed.
The Departed. Yeah.
We're gonna find out Trump was like Leo DiCaprio in The Departed.
He was an agent all along. Yeah. Like, to me, that just seems like Mike Johnson is out there just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. It's like, oh yeah, Trump's in the Epstein files because he was actually an FBI informant trying to capture Epstein the whole time. It's like, okay, bro. Like, whatever.
That is probably one of the goofiest things I ever heard. If Trump gets named, I mean, if it goes south for Trump, I see Trump sticking it out so he hits his 2 years and maybe stepping down for health reasons, and JD gets in there. If Trump serves for at least 2 years, JD Vance can run for 2 terms. Mm-hmm. So nothing's going to happen with Trump until he hits that 2-year mark.
The midterms.
Yep. So we'll see how this list turns out. Another thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, did you have anything? I wanted to hit the Europe is cooked thing. So a little backstory here. This guy, Kurt Kaz, he's South African. Been traveling Latin America for the last couple of years. He's an influencer. He also has German citizenship. And he found himself going back to Europe and finding the state it's in. So it's so much worse than anything they've led us to believe. Let me throw this up here. This is in Frankfurt, Germany. Some of you might have seen this guy before. He bags a lot of Latinas.
He's on soldier. Whoa.
Why camera, bro?
Why?
Bro, not for me, صاحبي.
Why? Chill.
Need first beginning with Hereen and Craig.
Stay away then.
Hello.
Hello. Who's filming?
Part 2 of the European conquest has begun. And welcome to the financial capital of Germany. Frankfurt, or Crackfurt. And today we'll be going into the notorious neighborhood of the Bahnhof Viertel, which has been completely taken over.
So here's this neighborhood.
You tell me when we get out of here.
Hey, don't worry. Fine.
Right, as you can see, we can't film.
He's got to have an escort to go through Frankfurt,
So,
Germany.
That's what it is, exactly.
They do not like the camera, as you can tell, because
no.
we're exposing what's happening here. The open drug market, the drug dealers. Here go the Sicherheitsdienst doing absolutely
They're the
nothing.
only two
just
white
filming
people
around.
in Germany.
We are in Zombielandia. Very, very
Oh,
sad.
there's a white person. Crack horse.
I'm filming the streets, lady. Thank you.
Another crack horse.
Oh, thanks so much. So, lady, Schwarze.
I mean, this is Germany.
Ich hab geht nicht. Nicht.
It's all immigrants and crack whores now.
There's a lady ODing right over here.
The future they wanted for America, I guess. He has
Well-
another one where he's in Paris. It's even worse. Paris is terrible. They have roving gangs. This is just a dude walking around with a camera,
Yeah.
documenting like he does. I've seen this guy go in the most dangerous barrios in South America, and he hasn't been in as much trouble as he is walking through Frankfurt and Paris.
Yeah, I've noticed. I've seen other influencers doing this too, and it's like if you're doing a travel blog or a travel vlog or fucking whatever the stupid terminology is, but these people, they're not filming the people. They're like, oh, I'm in beautiful Berlin or whatever, like taking a picture of all of the stuff of these historical cities. And then these people, no camera, no camera, no camera. It's like, fuck you, dude. This is Frankfurt. This is Berlin. What do you mean no camera? No, I'm not filming you. I'm filming the sites. You just happen to be in frame. No camera, no camera. It's like,
Yeah, and I don't get that. Why they're so against the camera? They're going to get recognized? What?
well, it's either that or they've got some like weird. The camera's gonna steal my soul. But that's not it. They're worried that they're going to be on camera and they're going to be infamous.
We have Marie over here. In all fairness, you could walk around New York City and get the same results, or LA, which I've witnessed. Sure, I get that, but it's not Frankfurt, Germany. That apparently white people don't have any ancestral areas; they just spring from the earth. But that's probably one of the closest you can get.
Yeah, it's I have always expected a bit of multicultural enrichment in a place like New York or LA, just because that's how it's always. I'm 40 years old, and it's always been considered to be this rainbow city and high crime but high multicultural flavor. When you start talking about places like London, Paris, Berlin, Frankfurt, Prague, all of these traditional European tourist type destinations, up until 15 years ago, this was unheard of. It was ethnically homogenous.
Thank God our immigrants we're dealing with are South American and not sub-Saharan and Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
It seems so much worse.
There's a degree of cultural brotherhood between North and South America that kind of flows from our shared ancestry. Spanish are Europeans, and we're all more or less connected through a Christian tradition, more or less in the West. Not so much today, but historically, South America has been very Catholic. North America has been very Protestant, but it's all Christianity. We have that in common. It's not like the Muslim invasion of Christian Europe or secular Europe these days. Simon says the French government is going to fall on Monday.
Again?
Yeah.
Didn't they get rid of everybody recently?
That's going to be the election coming up. Once again, France surrenders to itself this time.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess they're gonna have more Muslims in there. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. It's such a cultural difference between, yeah, Muslim invasion basically. Yeah, spot on. I, what would the Crusader ancestors think if they saw that? Hell, he's got that same guy has a video of him when he's in Paris. He's dodging bottles that all these migrants are throwing him, and it's overlaid on a guy storming Normandy Beach. And he's running almost the exact. It just happened. He's running almost the exact same way as that guy dodging bottles. But it's like, man, this is what they died for.
Yeah,
good job.
I saw an interview with a British World War II veteran who was in tears saying, "This isn't the country that I fought and lost so many of my friends for." He's like, "I don't recognize it anymore." He's like, "What is this place?" And you know that he probably got a knock on the door from the bobbies.
Yeah, like the guy in England, the Canadian got arrested?
Graham Linehan.
Making a joke?
Yeah.
Against what, trans people, I think it was?
Yeah. They said it was for incitement to violence because the thing that he posted was if you find yourself as a woman in a restroom with a man, punch him in the balls. Which... And that's incitement to violence. Allegedly.
Great. So I think that about wraps up all the stories we wanted to hit on. We got another comment. Maybe unheard of there. My problems extend to my own country, not another. Could be called a nationalist for that. Problems need to be addressed at home before ridicule others is a priority. Yeah, agreed. I mean, our problems here aren't nearly as bad as Europe at this point. I think they're kind of hiding. I've seen a couple influencers making that point. They're hiding how bad Europe actually is. And we brought it up. How would they fix it? There's no... Yeah. The only way they can fix it is to get them out. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that. They screwed up. They done goofed.
Yeah. And I understand where you're coming from, Mario. Don't take it as ridicule of others, so much as it is pointing it out as a cautionary tale. It could be so much worse here.
Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about that too, why they would have done this. And I think you had whatever, Alex Jones always says there's a new world order running Europe. I think they were worried they were going to be short on people for a conflict that never happened. So they were importing all these immigrants, and then the paradigm changed, and the meat grinder isn't necessarily as valuable as it used to be, or mass amounts of people aren't, and now they're stuck.
See, that would make more sense if they were importing a different caliber of people. The people that they're importing right now are low IQ. They don't speak or read the language.
Great
they would
for a
be
meat grinder.
But with that comes the impossibility to follow orders. Not to mention, these aren't the type of people that typically follow orders to begin with, even if you were speaking their language. And it's not from a single part of the world. You've got people speaking different languages and different dialects from all over the world that are, from Middle East. You got like Arabic and Farsi, and then you got all the various North African dialects that are coming into that country. So if the idea was to conscript these people into some type of a meat grinder army, that's a big fail. Mm-hmm. So what would be the purpose of getting all of these guys in there?
I can't come up with any other logical reason why you would want this, but beyond just being absolutely stupid about how you want your country to be. Nothing makes sense.
Right, and the thing that adds a layer of complexity to what they're doing is it's not just that they're importing all of these people from the third world into Europe, it's the frenzied desperation at which they're doing it. It's like, no, we have to have these people come into here. And it's like the explanations about boosting GDP don't make sense for that level of desperation. The explanation of lowered birth rates do not compute with that level of desperation. So what does? And the only thing that I can think of is that they were anticipating losing a shitload of their own men.
Why would you want to spend your own? I don't know why you'd want to spend your own, and to circle back a little bit too, all of Europe sits above the 37th parallel. So they're going to start getting the same schizophrenic vitamin D issues that I think we're experiencing too. So that is just, Europe's cooked. I don't even.
Yeah.
Ma'arif, FYI, I'm a Hispanic U.S. citizen. My grandfather has taught me you should earn your right to be a part of something. Immigrated to the U.S. in the 40s. Outstanding.
That is that's a good mentality to have. Like, if I moved to Japan, I wouldn't demand that the Japanese learn English to accommodate me. I would learn Japanese and try to absorb their culture as much as I can.
Yeah.
That's just...
Which I saw the Japanese have started bringing in Indians or something. Did you see that story?
They're being pressured by Western countries to take in immigrants from all over the world, but there's a right-wing populist party called Sanseto that is on the rise over there. Oh, and speaking of right-wing parties, how did we not talk about the biggest...
AFD.
Yes, shit. We're over here talking about Frankfurt, Germany and shit. The biggest story in right-wing news is the AFD lost 7 of their candidates in a 13-day period in one state, North Rhine-Westphalia, just days before an election. Statistically impossible.
Yeah.
And people are just like, oh no, natural causes, they were all old. And it's like, all politicians are old. You don't lose 7 of them in a 2-week period.
And I think 2 of them were for like the same office. Like the one guy died, so they got another guy in there, and then he died.
Yeah, the guy and his reserve candidate.
It's a little fucky.
Yeah, well, watch that space. Watch this space, and more information.
Watch that one. Simon said to watch France. We'll see how that turns out. Europe's cooked. R.I.P. Europe. No need to ally with them on anything going forward, I don't think. I've brought that up before. They're worthless now. They were worthless before. Now they're even worse.
Yeah,
They bring nothing to the table at this point.
Good cheese and wine.
And you said they're turning Muslim, secular Europe. I saw today the Vatican allowed the first ever, I guess they do something called a jubilee through the Vatican, where it's like a little parade. They allowed their first gay jubilee to march through the Vatican. Typically you're not allowed in the Vatican if you're not dressed conservatively, and these guys were in t-shirts and hoochie daddy shorts and all rainbowed up with, I saw one said "fuck your rules" on it. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, good job, Vatican.
Yeah, I had such high hopes for the new pontiff.
We couldn't have got the African one.
Why are you gay?
I bet that would have not got very far at all with that guy. All right, well, everybody, thanks for joining us. We're over on time. Check out roads2liberty.com. We've been selling some shirts lately. We thank people for that. AlexJonesStore.com/R2L. You can find us on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter. We're R2L Pod at Twatter. We tried live streaming over there, but I don't think it worked out. We'll see if we can work on that and get that going.
Yep.
So we'll be back next week, and we'll see how those elections turn out. I saw Simon is maybe, since he's been released from the tiny hat prison he was in, maybe he can give us a European update. We'll see if we can get that going. So thanks for joining us, and stay honky.